Three, two, one.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Brotherly Banter. Episode 9. I'm going to say episode 9. I could be sadly mistaken. I lost count.
Pathetic.
Sometime. It's only been like single digits. That's the worst part about this.
Stupid.
Today, we will talk about my former associate and company, Microsoft, Phil Spencer, the gaming division. Recently, as of late, they just acquired Bethesda. We live close to Bethesda, so it's pretty cool, right?
I guess.
I guess.
They don't invite us. I don't care, but they lose points with me.
Idiot. But no, so they recently acquired. Now, Microsoft's track record, as known, especially with me, I gave them a deadline. They don't know me. But in my world, I gave them a deadline.
I don't think they care. Even if they did, they wouldn't care.
That's what my deadline. When I can feel when there's a shift in a situation. I have really, really good instinct. And obviously, Microsoft, I gave them chances. It's documented. All right, I let it build up, and then when the consoles came out, I said, guess what? They have a console coming out. They have one choice. You got to drop something with it. And yeah, they didn't. I'm sorry. They did. However, the game, which the disrespect to this game of Halo, it was like a little box-looking lizard.
I mean, y'all lucky they showed y'all.
I'm not lucky, nothing.
I mean, you still would have played it. Because it would have been on Game Pass, so you'd have got it technically, in a sense, for free.
Yeah, I wouldn't have been in a rush.
But imagine if it came out like
I
the
see
demo.
your point. Yeah.
Then people would be like, "Oh, Xbox Series X, baby, Halo, download it." They're like,
"What is
that?" Yeah.
They'd be like, "What is?"
They would have broke sales because it's Halo, but no one would have really seen it until the reviews came out. Yeah. Or if people don't look at reviews, they would have brought the game, already brought it. They'd be like, "Oh, Halo's like the fastest selling game." People are like, "Nah, we want our money back."
No, I guarantee you one thing: they ain't gonna show no demos this time around.
Yeah, they will. E3. The game's still supposed to come out this year.
No, I know. I feel like they might just.
I mean, they show screenshots.
Just to save face of.
No.
Hopefully, it's not gonna.
No, they already showed screenshots. The next thing after screenshots, because Microsoft can't go into E3 with people knowing Halo's scheduled to come out, and they can't go through the entire conference and not show Halo, because they can't just show screenshots for the rest of the year. People are gonna be like, gameplay.
Not past them at all.
They won't. I know they won't, because they need this to sell. So if they only show,
no, they have no choice but to make
if they only show screenshots and not an updated visual until reviews come out, people aren't gonna trust them.
Man.
So I'm 100%, like, there is no doubt in my mind that Halo is going to be the starting point or the end point. Because unless they have like a special game announcement or something else to show that could be dropping. Yeah, it's either going to start off or it's going to be close to ending, unless, there's like, oh, here's a look at this game we talked about like last year or whatever. Here's gameplay for it drops this year. But Halo's going to be the start or it's going to be the end of it.
No, I hear you. I just think their track record was already super sketchy at this. They only had like 3 games to go. Well, they have 2. Reality have 3. So they picked the one. They picked the one to mess up on.
Yes.
At this point, like, of all times to jack something up, you did.
Out of all the franchises.
Thank you. Of all things, you
like,
could have
to me,
Mary Poppins Adventure. You could have jacked that up. Nobody would have cared.
If they would have jacked up Forza or Gears, if they would have jacked up Gears graphics a little bit, I wouldn't have cared. I would have still played it because it's not that big of a deal to me.
They could have got away with that.
Yeah.
I feel like they put more emphasis on Forza.
They don't have a choice, because Forza, I keep telling people, Forza is the one game that they show that always highlights the graphics of their new console.
Of course. Yes.
They didn't show Forza yet.
Yeah, it's coming up.
Well, so between the new consoles coming out, there's no game that's out that really shows off the graphics of the system. And every time they drop a new system, there's Forza slides its way in, and that'll be the game that shows, unless Halo, the new updated Halo graphics actually shows off the graphics, it will be Forza during E3 that will show off the graphics.
Here's my thing. This is a deep sigh I'm taking with this.
Back to Bethesda though.
Yeah, it's back to Bethesda. Like, I get the acquisition. I get the why with the acquisition. I get them taking them, owning it now basically, and they now when Bethesda, I guess, comes out with games, it'll be an Xbox exclusive. So it builds up.
It depends.
Well, no, I'm sorry. Certain ones.
Games, yeah. Like certain, like I know Sony has 2 that they still have exclusive to, or timed at least. So those 2 alone will still be Sony.
Yeah, but
everything else has a potential to be an Xbox exclusive outside of probably Elder Scrolls, because that will make them too much money to. They will lose too much money if it's only on Xbox/PC.
Oh God, yeah.
Because if they don't have the PlayStation, so I still think they won't make as much as they would if they added all 3. So outside of that, and maybe I think it was called Starfield.
Okay.
I think outside of those 2, everything else after that if they make another Wolfenstein game, if they make another Evil
I
Within,
can see that. I feel like
or whatever other a Fallout or something, then you can say okay, but that's like, oh, we're working on Fallout, blah blah blah. People are gonna be like, is it exclusive? Is it a timed? Do they get like exclusive DLC at first?
I feel as though since they went down this road, and again they keep talking about these other studios they have yet to announce. Which I'm sure with these studios, the only way they're going to announce them is when they talk about whatever games are coming with them.
Yeah, I mean, the only other studio that I know of that I only care about is Hellblade 2. So
yeah.
Hopefully I see it at E3. I mean, I still don't think it'll come out this year, depending on what Microsoft has this year.
I feel as though, and again, with Microsoft.
I know.
I'm sorry. Let me put it this way. It's like you spend money, all this money on something, right? Like say you spend all this money to get like a car, right? You trick it out and you get everything, right? And it should do something amazing, right? Like most guys with street race, right? They get tires and let's say you do it and you still come in last. Like so it's like I feel like if you're gonna spend all that money and you're gonna go and you have no choice.
It's like they're spending money to make it back. But the only problem is it's a long game.
Yes.
Because, it takes time to make new games.
I get that, yes.
So with them having, what was it, like 14, 15 studios last year they brought, and then getting Bethesda, especially if it won't be so bad if they make it multi-platform, because it'll be PC, Xbox, and PlayStation.
Yeah.
So if it's not that good or not that popular, it's not that big of a deal. Yeah, because it's 3. I mean, plus Game Pass, so people technically get it for free. But if they're buying a straight price from PC or PlayStation, it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, I see.
But if it's when they start making like their exclusive games, strictly, I can't even say exclusive because technically it still comes to PC.
Yes.
But if it's strictly Xbox or strictly Xbox PC, and the game reviews come out, this game's bad, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, or if the game comes out and then the game sells poorly or bad, then you have to look. Then you can say, okay, that game didn't work.
Yes.
Or this studio. I don't think all their studios will be amiss. I think there will be, because it's a factor for any company. PlayStation has its misses, Nintendo has it.
Go ahead.
So if they have 20-something studios or however they brought, plus Bethesda, once those exclusives start eventually rolling out, which I'm assuming should start holiday of this year, because right now they have nothing in the summer.
No.
And
not at all.
PlayStation has games coming out starting, what are we in, March?
It's like May.
April, May, I think.
It's like May.
So once their stuff starts rolling out, which I'm going to guess should be holiday of this year.
Yeah.
We'll find out obviously at E3, maybe before leaks and blah 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 start coming out. But if their games start rolling out and their stuff starts missing, then people are gonna look at like, why did you buy a studio if it's not producing?
And that's my point.
Yeah.
That's my. I knew you were going with it.
I mean, either way is gonna happen, because say they have 6 studios, like our games are ready to ship. Even if 5 do well and like sales, game's popular, everyone loves it, it's done, and that 6th studio did bad, people are gonna be like, oh, why'd you buy the studio? It's just trash, and they're gonna ignore the 5 that did good.
Go ahead.
No, continue. Go.
You're correct. And I think that's my point. And I knew you were going with it. Ultimately, bringing it full circle. I knew you were going with it, and I couldn't agree with you more. The super problem with this is because of everything you just said. Now, backing up a bit. Because backing up a bit, and which led to them being in this position that there's this position that they're in now, because they really had no choice, but...
They had to buy the studios.
Yes. But it goes back to the origins of this. I don't know what they were banking on originally. I don't know what their game plan was, but they dug themselves into a hole. So now they have to find a way, this is their way of digging it out. And it's such a risk. Because here's why I say that. I get Nintendo. Nintendo has like Zelda and
they
all
just
those games.
They just pump them out. People are like, we'll take it.
And Sony, same thing. They now have like the Spider-Man games. They now have
Sony is more known for the single player experiences, and people get mad because they don't make multiplayer. They're like, why fix what's not broken?
Yes. And it's great storytelling.
Yes.
So, and it's long. It's not like short games.
They're like 30, 40, depending on the game. I'd say 30 to 60 hours.
And they're long games.
Yes.
The graphics, cutscenes, storytelling, everything. Microsoft has been a lot of multiplayer family games and stuff like that. But when you're talking about gamers, now sometimes, I'm not going to lie, on Twitch, I see some people playing like Cuphead and stuff like that. But that only lasts but for so long. At a certain point, people who are into gaming, they're going to want a story. They want to want like a good game.
A storytelling, narrative driven, yes.
So, because now I feel like they're trying to do that, it's like they're playing catch up. Now with Sony and Nintendo, they have that space that they can do certain things and take certain risks. They can have a bad situation and be like, all right, well, we tried.
Yeah, they can make a multiplayer game, and then people can be like,
they're like, all right, well, here's a samurai game with a falcon. Everybody's like, woohoo! This. With Xbox, they don't have that. No. It's literally, this has to work.
Yes.
And that's my point.
Because my thing is, they did good in the 360 era. Nobody complained about them not having games.
That's fair.
When they got to Xbox One, I think that's what it was, right?
The first Xbox. Yeah.
Xbox One.
But go ahead.
It's ridiculous. It's just the names. I could have came up with a better name for the Xbox. But so 360 Xbox to 360 era, it's like literally nobody complained because they had games. And then you got to the Xbox One, and they had to me, they had a decent start for the game, because I personally like Rise, Son of Rome. I thought the game was good.
That started off great.
I thought the game was good. A lot of people didn't like it. I wanted a second, but clearly I'm not going to get a second.
You are not.
And they had there's another game, Quantum Break, came out.
Okay.
I didn't have a problem with Quantum Break. It was just the cutscenes and the side stuff was just so ungodly long.
Okay.
For no reason. But the gameplay was good.
Okay.
If it wasn't for like not random, but like the cutscenes were just so long. I fell asleep one time because it was so long, and I woke up and it was still going.
Oh gosh. All right.
So they had no go.
No, continue. Okay. It's about the first thing about Rome thing.
So from there, it's like I don't know what they were thinking, but they had a good start. They went from Xbox 360, good games. Then they went to Xbox One, and it was, the same format. Halo, Gears, Forza. Halo, Gears, Forza. And then sprinkle, a little things, and certain things were a hit or a huge miss. And then they had their indie games sprinkled in there.
Yeah.
But after a while, people were just like, where's everything else at?
Everything else,
And then they look at Nintendo, and Nintendo's like, all right, here's Pokemon. They're like, yay! Here's another Zelda. Here's a remake of Zelda. Here's some more Mario games.
Yeah,
there's
like
Mario
DLC
Kart.
For, not DLC. Why I cook?
There's like, here's Mario Kart 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. They're like, okay. Here's another Smash Bros.
Bros. When I say DLC, I meant like the characters.
And then they come in for some of the old games like Bayonetta and all that.
Yeah.
And then Xbox, people were like, man, this winter season is looking kind of dry here, And then they look over like, hey, what you guys doing over there, Sony? And they're like, oh, here's some new IPs. And people are like, oh, what's this new IP? And then it's like, oh, here's Horizon, here's Last of Us, here's the next God of War, here's blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. And they're like, oh, looking nice over there. And they're like, what kind of indie games you guys got? And then they sprinkle in some indie games. People are like, hey, we love these. And then Microsoft, they're just like, man,
they rely too much. I have a question, but this has nothing to do with my question. They dropped Halo, but when you drop Halo, you're not getting another Halo until like another like 4, maybe 5 years,
Yes.
give or take. Forza is
every
other
two.
year. Yeah,
About I would say every 2 years or so. 2, maybe 3 after.
Oh my God, Gears is like
Gears is almost the same length as Halo, but maybe a year shorter. Really? I feel like they put more, I don't want to say emphasis on Halo. I feel like Halo's world design is bigger.
No, I think they put, because Halo I feel like is their number one.
Yes.
So they're going to put more time and emphasis on it. After that,
honestly, at this point, I'd say Forza, because they pump Forza out more than I feel like they pump out. Almost
every other year to 2 years.
Yeah. So I think it's Halo, Forza, Gears. And then the problem is people's like, okay, what else you guys have this year? But the problem is with their buying companies and stuff, they'll say, hey, here's this. The problem that I always have with E3 with them, compared to Nintendo and Sony. Yeah. Nintendo and Sony will show games that come out this year. Well, if it's indie or if it's I say 2 holiday games at best for most of the time. Okay. Between like September, December, there's at least 2. Okay. And then you go to Microsoft. Normally Microsoft is first. Yes. They'll show one of their big 3 drops this year, holiday time. Everyone's like, yay, woohoo. And then everything else they show doesn't have a date, or if it does have a date, it's not until the following year. Yeah. They'll have, let's say this year will be Halo. They'll probably have one more, I'm not even calling it a major game, but I guess like a filler game to go along with it. And then everything is done. You're like, oh, what's this? Ooh, a shooter. And you're like, release date this year, early next year. Okay. Next game. Ooh, that game looks good. It's a fighter or whatever. This year. No date. Okay. Next game. Indie game. Everyone's like, okay, that doesn't look bad. It's like an old style, like, oh, I like arcade games. This year, no date. Cool. Yeah. And then they just keep going, and then eventually maybe they'll have 2 or 3 that come out with Halo, and then they come out, and it's a hit or miss.
Do you think, to get my question before I forget, I'm trying to keep in my thoughts, the Roman Gladiator Rise game. In my head, I'm staring off because I'm processing my whole thought process with this. It came out. I feel like it had potential to be really, really good.
It did.
Okay. Obviously, people tend to be
negative.
No, negative. But companies, they tend to overanalyze things.
Yes.
And I feel like with Xbox, because it was their first shot, or maybe I won't say first shot, but it was their first game for that console.
For that genre, I guess. Yes. Yeah.
Do you think, and as I'm thinking this, do you think that they panicked? And do you think that they looked at the reviews and said, okay, well, people don't like it, so let's not make it, or let's not continue.
I don't think it had to do with the reviews, because there's a lot of reviews that I see for games that I personally enjoy.
Yes.
So reviews could come out like, oh, this game's a 4 out of 10, and then people like, oh, yeah, some people.
Same thing like movies, right?
Yeah,
like you
some
look
people
at critics and they're like, oh, it sucked, but we go see it. One like, this movie's great.
Yeah, it's like there's a lot of games that I've played that they'll say, oh, this game isn't that good, blah blah, sucks, and then everyone sees it. I mean, not everyone, but people see it and they're like, oh, this game's trash, blah blah, and they'll go along with it. Yeah, I don't think it has anything to do with the reviews. The only part that had to do with reviews that people write was the Halo reveal.
Well, that was universal.
I don't think it had to do with reviews. It could have just been the money. Maybe they didn't think. Maybe they had a target goal of what they wanted to make or want to make back. Yeah. And maybe they didn't reach it. Yeah. And then maybe they just said, okay, no more.
Yeah.
That could have been. I don't think it had anything to do with reviews. Yeah. I think it's just maybe just the money aspect of it.
Yeah. All right.
But yeah.
I'm sorry. Like, we're gonna wrap this up now, but no, I
mean, we won't. We're
not gonna. Go ahead.
The Bethesda deal and the studios that they brought, was it last year or what, the years before that, whatever it was. Yeah. They won't. I don't think we can. People can't judge the deals until the games, until those each studio starts dropping their exclusives or time exclusive or multi-platform, whatever they want to, whatever they're doing over there. we won't be able to tell till I'm gonna keep saying till E3 because E3 is always a time where we see what
I'm
the
not gonna
studios
lie to
have
you.
cooking.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm being so honest right now. I hear you. I understand you. Sometimes you got to claw your way out of a bad situation.
Yes.
That's fine. We all do it. I've been hearing about these freaking studios.
I mean, because they keep buying them, and then their stuff goes on Game Pass, and it's like Game Pass is the greatest thing ever. And I'm like, I'm not. I
care
have
about
Game
that.
Pass,
Here's my thing.
but I'm not playing old games I already
That's
played.
my thing. I don't care about that.
Yeah.
Not saying it towards you, just in general. I don't care about that. To me, if you have all these studios, yo, your E3 better drop, and it better be freaking fire. Like, what's the point of purchasing all this stuff to do these little fairy tale colorful games? Like, and I get that. I feel like that's still their thing.
Well, because I mean, Sony has that too, but it's not as bad, I think, as Microsoft, because they have their kids aspect for the kids games, for the family stuff, and then they have their more bloody.
I get that
stuff,
but Sony, you can see the clear difference with them. They don't have. There's no difference. There is just, even their bloody games aren't that. It's still trending on that fairy tale stuff. The only close thing I feel that's gonna be bloody is no
Gears.
No, the Hell thing.
Hellblade.
Yes.
Oh, Hellblade was more psychological mental. Well, it's the first one's like, I guess second one too. It's like psychological, mental.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna call it sickness, but mental capacity and stuff like that. I still love that game. But still, I keep saying, I know you and other people are just like, why would we wait until E3? Why is it always E3? Why is it always waiting until E3? They brought these studios, I'm going to say 2 years ago, and then they just brought Bethesda. Yeah. Bethesda isn't, as currently as far as we know, they don't have an exclusive in the making for them. I could be wrong, but like you said, it takes time to make games. That. So E3 happens. E3 is always a time where the companies show what they're cooking in the pot.
Yes.
So they go into E3, and obviously we'll see Halo.
Yes.
Probably Forza. I wouldn't be too shocked. And it's, what else do they have? I get showing trailers for games they have currently out, or DLCs for games that are currently out. Yeah. It's more of what's in the pot that's been cooking for this long.
That's my point. I hear you. I get E3. We all know what E3 does and brings, and what their goal, what's the reason for E3. I get dropping stuff, and I get cooking in the pot. But how long you gonna let that thing cook? Like
this.
But to me, for this long, it's that anticipation I feel like they're doing. But the risk reward, maybe there's the best way to put it, seems a little off, because you can say, yeah, we bought, or we keep telling people we're buying this, buying it. Cool. After a while, I'm gonna look at you like, all right, well, guess what? You told me 5 years ago. It's like, and I'm probably exaggerating, but at some point, what you drop better be worth the wait.
Yes.
And I think that's where I'm at with this.
Yeah, they don't have a choice to, I'm not going to say to gamble.
They have to gamble.
They have to, they don't have a choice but to, because if, like I said, if their studio starts dropping stuff, and the only safe bets they have are Hellblade, because I don't think you can get that wrong from part 2 and 1 did so well. We shouldn't give it. And their core 3.
Yes.
Outside of that, and probably not even Bethesda's not even in that group.
No.
So outside of their core 3, Halo, Forza, Gears, and their 4th, which would be Hellblade.
Yeah.
And I think they're making another Fable, so maybe 5. I think outside of those 5,
all right,
everything else their studios are cooking up.
Yeah.
It has to be.
It has to be good.
I'm not gonna say it has to be amazing. It just has to be good. It has to be good.
It can't be okay.
Yeah.
It can't be. It has to be between really good, and I'll give it borderline great, because I'm not going to put that level of expectation on them right now.
I'm putting it as good to great.
Okay,
because anything below that,
it's going to be.
It's basically like a 6 through 10 rating. Yes. If it's a 5, you're like,
I'm not at this stage. I'm not going to lie to you. I can't give it.
Because if a game gets,
it has to be at least a 7. A 7 to
out of 10.
7 out of 10. Okay. That has to be the focal point, because you cannot go all this time
I'm saying
and
6.
give us a 5. It's like, what were you doing?
I'm saying 6, depending on who the studio is. If it's a studio, I don't remember what games they make, and they're somewhat new-ish to it, then I'll give them a 6 out of 10. If it's an established studio, you get a 7.
Yeah.
Everybody else, I think, gets a 6, 5, depending on what the game is and what plans they have for after the game comes out. Because if they drop a game and they say, "Oh, here's a roadmap for stuff," I can say, "Okay, you can easily move up a notch." But if it's just the base game and that's it, and they're like, "This game's about a 5," or it's not that. It's okay if you're bored and you have nothing else to play.
Yeah, they got no choice.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. I know.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm processing this whole business combined with being a fan. It's just so bad. They're bad at this. They dug so freaking hole. All right, what happened?
Oh, we'll be back for another Microsoft rant for E3. Well, probably a pre-E3 review.
Yeah, because if I see what they got coming, I'm gonna look at them like, you niggas.
Language.
So bad. All right, thank you so much for joining us.
Stupid.
See you next time.
Dude, say you nigga.